It's been a while since we covered the Nikon Z8, but we've got an update for you tonight. According to Nikon Rumours, the Nikon Z8 is going to sit between the Nikon Z7 Mark II and the Nikon Z9. Not exactly an earth-shattering revelation. I mean, after all, where do you expect the number 8 to go but between the 7 and the 9? Apart from the obvious revelations, we do have other leaked specifications on the Nikon Z8. Will it finally catch up to the Canon EOS R5, the Sony a7S R5, or will it overtake them? Details coming up, but first, please do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe, share, choose all notifications, like, comment, and all that good stuff. It's greatly appreciated, means a lot, and helps this channel grow. Nikon Rumours says that the Nikon Z8 will have the same sensor as the Nikon Z9, which isn't really a big surprise, but that tells us an awful lot. Having the exact same sensor tells us that it's going to have a backside illuminated stacked sensor that's going to be capable of 45.7 megapixels. Now, if that's true, it's going to have the exact same sensor. The Canon EOS R5 doesn't have a stacked sensor, and the Sony a7 R5, well, it has a BSI sensor, but not stacked, so that would give an edge to this camera. It also means it will be capable of, although the rumors don't mention this, of doing 8K video DCI, not just UHD. The Sony a7 R5 can do 8K video, but it's limited to 24 and 25 frames per second, and it does have a 1.2 times crop. The Canon, on the other hand, the R5, it can do 8K video at 24, 25, and 30 frames per second, full sensor readout, and do it in RAW. So what will the Nikon Z8 do? I hope that it can do at least what the Canon EOS R5 can do, but potentially it could do a little bit better. Could it go to 8K 60? Well, that would be stepping on the Nikon Z9, so I think it will stick to 8K 30 frames per second. The only question is, will it do RAW? Will it do all-eye? What other combinations will it do? And in terms of that image sensor, I think it makes an awful lot of sense that if they're going to use the exact same sensor found in the Nikon Z9, well then why not use the same image sensor? Why produce a whole new chip for this camera when you can take the one out of the Z9? It doesn't mean that we're going to get all the same speed, all the same benefits, the same fast buffer that we see in the Z9, that we're going to get 20 frames per second lossless RAW at 1.2 gigabytes per second. Nikon can definitely tone this down a little bit, just like Canon has with the Digic X image processor, and they've thrown that in every single camera since the 1DX Mark III came out, their flagship DSLR back in, 2020? And we've seen it in every other camera, the Canon R5, the R6, the R6 Mark II, the R7, the R10, the R50, the R8. It makes sense because now you've just got one chip, you just make a bunch of them for all your cameras, and you don't have to come up with multiple dies, multiple SKUs, costing you an awful lot of money. The Z8 will also have an improved EVF, but most importantly, it's going to have an improved autofocus system. And this is really good news. Nikon has been doing a good job with their autofocus system, but they haven't been performing as well as Sony and Canon, so hopefully this update will take them right up there, battling it out with Sony and Canon. Who knows what they might do to the autofocus system. Right now in autofocus systems, regardless of what camera you're looking at, they can all do human eye detection, animal eye detection. Some of them are doing insect eye detection, head detection. They can do planes, trains, and automobiles, different types of trains. They can also do cars, motorsports. So if you're filming motorsports and the guy's wearing a helmet, if the camera can actually see the guy the driver in the car, it'll latch onto the helmet. If there's no helmet, it'll latch onto the eyes, and this is pretty impressive. No mention of boat detection in any autofocus system yet, and of course no mention of UFO detection. Now, as far as the form factor, well, this is very interesting. We had a leaked image, well, a supposed leaked image of the Nikon Z8 a while ago, but it looked pretty small. Now, according to this rumor from Nikon Rumours, the Nikon Z8 is going to have the same form factor that we currently see with the Nikon Z6 Mark II and the Nikon Z7 Mark II. So not nearly as big as the Nikon Z9, that was kind of a given. The same sort of size form factor as, well, its contemporaries, or at least what will be its contemporaries, the Canon EOS R5 and of course the Sony a7 R5. But now let's talk a little bit about price. The price of this camera, we have the leaked price according to Nikon Rumours, and it's going to be 4,500 euros. Don't be alarmed here. Now, of course, if you're in Europe, yeah, be alarmed. 4,500 euros is an awful lot of money. But to take that price and bring it over to the United States or even Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, one thing you have to keep in mind, I keep reminding people whenever we talk about European prices, they usually have anywhere from around 18% to 25% tax in the price. The tax is built right into it. So what we would have to do is take that price out and apply the exchange rate. And what I think we're going to see at that point is the exact same price as the Canon EOS R5 and the Sony a7R5, so around $38.99, $38.98 for the Nikon Z8. And how do you feel about that? $38.99. To me, that seems like a pretty reasonable price, $38.99 US dollars. It's the same price as the R5. Actually, it's not. I just forgot. The Canon EOS R5 is on sale, $200 to $400 off. Right now, it's $400 off. It's been on sale since Black Friday, and I do have a link to that camera down below if you're a Canon shooter and you're interested in buying the R5. So right now, the R5 is on sale, with the R5 Mark II expected to be coming out sometime between now and 2024. $38.99, that is the same price, of course, as the Sony a7R5. Nikon Rumours didn't specify the exact date, although they did say it would happen before summer, but surprise, we already knew that. In fact, Nikon Philippines already leaked us this image here, and you can see something very interesting that's supposed to be happening on March the 25th, which is just in a couple of weeks. I don't think we're actually going to get an announcement, but they also wouldn't be teasing about some minor camera like a Z50 Mark II. This is going to be, well, a high-end camera, and I think what we're going to start to see, let's go back a couple of years, back to 2021, back to October. Do you remember the Nikon Z9? That first teaser video, that black and white, well, it wasn't shot in black and white, but it had a sort of a black and white motif. You had this guy sort of showing off this camera. You had a model sort of moving around, him taking shots, showing the camera in different perspectives or different orientations. And then a week later, we had another video. And in that video, that's what really got me excited, because you got to see it with a new lens, and you got to see it shooting 8K video up for, what, about 2 hours shooting 8K video. And of course, we got some other teasers before. A month after that first teaser, we actually got the announcement of the Z9. So I think that's what we're going to start to see right around March the 25th, which would mean that the announcement would probably happen late April, maybe even early May. Keep in mind, NAB's going to be in there, and the last thing Nikon wants to do is come out with an announcement while NAB is going on and just get overshadowed by it. So I think late April, early May is when we will get the final announcement, the announcement of the Nikon Z8, a camera that's going to cost around 4,500 euros, or about $38.99 US dollars. There has been some speculation to the Nikon Z8, what it's going to be competing with, and many have said, well, it's going to compete against the Sony a7R5, but you can't compete against the Sony a7R5 and ignore the Canon EOS R5. They're both priced at the same, although both cameras kind of are aimed at a slightly different market. And if you're going to compete more against the Sony, that means you're going to have a more higher resolution sensor. You're going to be shooting at slower frames per second, but you're going to have more detail. But according to this latest rumored specifications from Nikon Rumours, the same sensor as the Nikon Z9 tells us it's going to be 45.7 megapixels. So that means it's going to be closer to the resolution of the Canon EOS R5. So I think it's going to be, more or less, I think these two cameras, the Canon EOS R5 and the Sony a7R5, the Nikon Z8 is going to fit right within there. The only question is, does Nikon finally catch up to both of these two cameras, or do they pull out and move in front? Now, Nikon has the opportunity. They already know what the Canon EOS R5 can do. They already know what the Sony a7R5 can do. They also know that Canon is working on getting ready to refresh their R5 camera with the R5 Mark II. Rumors are saying anytime between, well, the next couple of months all the way up into 2024. So the Canon EOS R5, we're looking at an announcement within the next 12 months. And I think it would be very strategic, very tactical on Nikon's part to come out with a Z8 that's not only going to compete against the R5 and the a7R5, but to compete against the anticipated a7R5 Mark II, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And I think that's what we're really hoping for. Not for Nikon to finally catch up and answer the Canon EOS R5 or the Sony a7R5, but to pull ahead and show, look, we're Nikon. We were the leader in this marketplace. We held 65% market share going back decades. We can retake that, to show a sign, a spark of life, to not just produce a mini Z9, but not be afraid to take on some capabilities that the Z9 has and match them in this Nikon Z8. But what do you think? What do you think we're going to see in the final specifications of the Nikon Z8? It looks like it's turning out to be a mini Z9, not a, well, mirrorless version of the D850. Let me know what you think of this camera in the comment section down below, what specifications you think it's going to have, and the final price. Do you agree with me? Do you think it's going to be $38.99, 4,500 euros, or do you think it's going to be something else? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors, then go ahead and subscribe and choose all notifications. By choosing all notifications, as soon as I publish a new video like this one here, well, that way you get to stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors. However, make sure you check your spam filter, because sometimes these emails get trapped in your spam or junk folder, and that's because, well, YouTube does send out quite a few of these a day, up to 3 a day. And sometimes spam filters will look at this and say, yeah, this is just garbage. Nobody wants to read this. So definitely check that out. But that's it for now. Have yourself a great day. And if it's already, well, it's probably already, what time is it here now? It's 9 o'clock, 21:20. So that means it's mid-morning in Asia. So if you're waking up having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, I hope you have a great start to your day. And here in North America, well, we're all getting ready to get to bed. So have yourself a great night. And here's looking forward to a great weekend. Lots coming out in this month. I think this is going to be Nikon's month in terms of we're going to start to ramp up some teasing, and who knows what else we'll get. We still haven't heard anything from Panasonic. The S1, the S1R, the S1H, the Mark IIs. I hope we get a teaser of those as well. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.